welcome to Bitstorm, a comedy game design podcast by two guys who know nothing about comedy nor game design. I'm Ben Slinger. With me, as always, is Trevor Scott.
Hello.
And our guest this week is Mr. Adal Rifai.
Hello. Thanks so much for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for coming on. So for those who may not be aware, do you want to just give a little bit of a rundown of where they might be able to find you and what you've done?
Oh, sure. I am a podcaster, so you can check out my podcast, Hello from the Magic Tavern, which is an improvised fantasy podcast, sort of like if Cheers met Lord of the Rings or Always Sunny in Philadelphia met Adventure Time, I guess. You don't have to enjoy D&D or fantasy to hopefully enjoy this. And then I also do another improvised podcast called Hey Riddle Riddle, which is me and two friends trying to solve riddles and puzzles and lateral thinking problems, and we do improvised scenes along the way.
And I will just say that's currently my absolute favorite podcast. I look forward to it every week.
Thank you so much.
And it's my second favorite because my favorite is still Hello from the Magic Tavern. So you got up there.
I'm somehow upset with myself. I don't know. It's conflicting. And we're recording video, or we're on Zoom right now. And just so you guys know, one of my contacts is like bothering me all of a sudden. So if it looks like I'm crying or furious, that's what's going on.
No worries.
I'm super self-conscious of like, I must look crazy as my eye is like watering.
We'll just try to make you cry or angry, and then we won't know the difference.
I'm just so happy to be here.
We usually jump right into the improv stuff, but since we've got you on as a guest, do you want to just give us a little idea of what sort of games you generally like to play, what you've been playing?
This is video games?
Yes, video games, yes.
What do I like to play? I restarted Breath of the Wild recently because I played a little bit of that, took some time off, and now I'm back into it, and I need to kind of restart because I'm not someone who can just pick a game back up. I have to like re-immerse myself and be like, what's the storyline? What am I
the same.
How many chickens do I need to find for this dude? So I'm really, really enjoying that. And I'm playing The Last of Us because some friends of mine have said that's very, very good. And the new one came out, and I bought that. So I want to make my way through the first one. On a lot of Switch, I was playing Animal Crossing New Horizon I dumped like 250 hours of my life into that.
Like the rest of the world.
When quarantine first started. And now I'm at the point where I'm like, I think I did all the things. I got Slay the Spire on my phone. I've been really enjoying that.
Oh, yeah.
There's
That's a really cool game.
So fun. Yeah. So fun. I played a game on Switch called Return to Obra Dinn. Which is
we were literally just talking about that before you jumped on. Yeah, we've been playing that too.
A very, very cool... can I cuss on this podcast?
Yeah, absolutely.
Fucking awesome sort of old like puzzle game. It's new, but the style is very old.
Oh, I love the graphical style of it, and just, because the guy who did that, Lucas Pope, is the same guy who did Papers, Please.
Oh, yeah, I played that.
Yeah, which we often take a lot of inspiration from in the game designs on this show, so... Yeah, he's got sort of a master of just different odd mechanics, that guy.
That's wonderful. And then the newest thing is maybe around 7 p.m., 8 p.m. last night, in the mail came my PS4 VR system. So I set up that, and then I've probably already played 10 hours of Beat Saber, which is so satisfying. I never thought a game could be so satisfying.
It's good. It's fantastic. Yeah, we're both heavily into VR as well, so... also inspires a lot of our game designs because everything's fun in VR, right? You've got the tactile motions and stuff.
And then in terms of my contribution to video games, I'm the voice and the host of Guespionage in Jackbox Party Pack 3, I believe, 3 or 4.
Yep.
Yeah, another one of our favorite.
Absolutely,
those party packs are amazing.
I have all 6 packs, and
Quiplash
numerous times.
Quiplash is the perfect party game.
It is.
It's so good, yeah. All right, awesome. Well, I think let's jump into some fun game designs. For those who haven't listened, and for you, Adal, Click Pitch is a game where we each take a random word from a random word generator, and we will say them out loud, we'll put them together, and we're just going to use that as a prompt to come up with a game design, whether it's funny, just interesting mechanics, maybe it'll go absolutely nowhere, and then we'll throw it away and we'll do it again.
Perfect.
Awesome. All right. So
I am very familiar with things that go nowhere.
All right.
3,
2, 1, click. All right. I got theft.
Messy.
Book.
Messy.
Book is my word.
Book.
Messy theft book.
Mm-hmm,
Okay. Some sort of game based in a library, perhaps?
Yeah.
Just destroying a library.
Yeah, so I think what happens is you have to. So the game probably takes place in the library, and I don't know how this works. So if you guys are like, Adal, shut up, let me know.
No.
So here's what the game is. You are in a giant library. It's like it's several floors, and hidden throughout are all kinds of books to where the spine looks normal, but when you open them, there's some sort of effect or some sort of theme or whatever it might be. Portals to
classic
other world.
like secret door opens behind them.
And a local chef had taken out like 20 books and accidentally like spilled pasta primavera inside the book. So you have like hints, and you have to track down, because they're all out of the Dewey Decimal System is not at play here.
No,
and you have to open up the books and try and track down which ones are stuffed with pasta, so that you can clean them and fine and take this guy to court.
Well, and I like the idea then that you, to sort of find your way to the next book and put them in order, it depends on what ingredients from the past you find in there.
Yes.
If you've just got some tomatoes in there that are, uncrushed, then perhaps this is early on in the process.
Perfect, yes.
Some broken bits of dry pasta that sort of lead you in a trail because they sort of fell out of the book as the librarian was putting it back.
Mm-hmm. Yes, yeah. You go into your like detective mode, like Batman style detective mode, where you can detect, pasta sauce.
Yeah. And you mentioned, sorry, Trev, you mentioned leading the pasta ingredients, leading a breadcrumb trail, and that brings me to something that the game is based on, which is Italian Hansel and Gretel.
Yes.
Which are lesser appreciated versions of the characters. So you do have to. That's the sort of storyline, is that you are kids. You're a brother and sister duo, and you have to search for these books.
So it all leads to the secret room where the evil witch and her pasta house kidnaps you, and I'm not sure. I don't know. Are kids as into just eating a house full of pasta as they are candy?
You have to remember these are Italian kids. So German kids love candy. Italian kids love pasta.
This is true. Yeah. Okay. So I don't know. We've got it locked down. So are you playing the kids themselves, or are you tracking down the kids and sort of understanding this story and unlocking this story as it goes?
That's a good question. Well, here's the thing. I think we're lacking a little bit in the theft department. So,
yes, true.
So maybe you're one of the kids and the other one was stolen by the pasta witch.
Oh yeah.
And also, hold on, guys. This is a little off track. But now pasta witch makes me think we should have more pasta sandwiches in the world. You never go when I go to a sit down restaurant, my entree either is a sandwich or it could be an entree of pasta, but I never see a pasta witch. Yeah. Why aren't we seeing more pasta in between bread?
Why aren't we seeing bread made of pasta?
Carbs on carbs is just not.
Yeah,
it's not done often enough.
If there was like a penne panini. A pen. Well, what can we call that? A penne panini would be a panini.
A panini.
It just sounds like I'm mispronouncing it. But that's also part of the game. Is you have aspirations to be a chef yourself, and you are.
So you're discovering these recipes and
you are
coming up with
dead set on making pasta witches, which are pasta sandwiches.
So you visit the pasta witch so that you can learn her magic to make a pasta witch.
And the kids' names.
So do you just open up like a jaffle maker, and in there is like a sandwich filled with like spaghetti bolognese and that sort of stuff, or are you talking more of an open face sandwich?
Very
important.
I don't think an open face sandwich would satisfy. So I think it's the first one. And I forgot to mention these kids' names are Rigatoni and Spabetti, which is hard to say. Spabetti and Rigatoni.
Okay. I mean, you get to choose who you play, and then it's the other one who got captured.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So there's a little bit of control in terms of who you're playing as. I'm
just imagining how dark this library is as well. Like there's that that typical thing of as you reach a section, the lights come on, and you've got the flickering sort of fluorescent light. But then when you go into one of the books, that has the secret portal, then it's that nice sort of like
softer lighting.
real lighting sort of thing that streams through the book.
Well, you just made me think of a moment where you turn the lights on and it's just a spotlight on a horrifying scene of like books covered in pasta dripping off them, the sauce everywhere. It's like a murder scene. Yeah.
Yeah, I like that. I like that there's different sort of, there's got to be different levels, right? So maybe the library's sort of parsed into sections. So you have your horror section, you have, whatever else. So I like that because then there's a heavy theme to each one.
Yeah, I do like that. I'm imagining what the non-fiction section is going to be like, though, because it's just like cooking books.
It's just all cooking books.
There's a lot of cooking books and a lot of biographies.
Yeah.
Yeah, you got to take your inspiration from the different books, right? For your different recipes, your different pasta witch types, different types of pasta, different types of bread.
I wonder if there's other, like, red herring books along the way that you can sort of just go into and go, oh, no, I shouldn't have gone into there because, it's got nothing to do with our story.
Yeah, I don't want herrings on my pasta. So.
And that's the thing is sometimes you're like, oh, I found one of the books with the pasta ingredients. But then you're like, oh, this is cucumber or something, and you're like, that's not, or coriander, and you're like, that doesn't go in the pasta I'm making. So you find ingredients for other ethnic dishes, but they're not specifically Italian. And those are the red herrings.
Well, and that's later on we can add DLC, so you can sort of explore the other, different characters from different ethnicities, and you can go down and do some wonton soup or something. And
and DLC in this game stands for Duck L'Orange Chef. So there's a chef that's going to cook you Duck L'Orange, and that's DLC.
Yeah, $4.99. Yeah, just cheap for a meal like that.
and that's $4.99. So what is I'm going to claim I am very ignorant when it comes to this. What is the money in Australia called? Because $4.99 in US dollars is one thing. What's Australian money?
It's Australian dollars, and it's worth about
63 cents.
Yeah, at the moment of a US dollar.
Okay,
but
so
it varies.
It's around $8, maybe.
Yeah, there you go.
Okay,
$8
okay, still reasonable. $5 to $8.
Still cheap.
That range works for me.
Yeah,
and they're just called Australia dollars.
Yeah, Australia. Yeah, we don't. Yeah,
you guys
it's
don't
not
call
like,
them.
No, it's just dollars.
Okay. I'll pay you $5 Australian dollars for this can of cake.
No, we just call them dollars. We're pretty much the same as the US, except when we're talking about multiple currencies, we'll actually say Australian dollars.
What does your money have on it?
The Queen.
Oh,
mostly the Queen.
Yeah,
well, the Queen's on all of it, and then we've got nice, colourful notes like Canada,
all plastic.
All plastic, colourful notes. So.
See, that's the best because ours is very boring.
Yeah, all green, just different shades of green.
Different shades of green.
And sizes, right? Yeah.
Yep. These big-headed men.
We do have a few of those on ours too. All right. Well, I think we'll move on and let's click again.
3, 2, 1, click.
3, 2, 1, click. Ooh, a chalk, like blackboard chalk.
Early.
Drum roll, drum roll, drum roll. The word is drum roll. No, it is location. So what? So location, and what are the other two?
Early and chalk.
Early chalk location. Okay.
I'm picturing like a school with like hand-drawn chalk, like child's drawings on the ground.
School works. I was thinking like chalk outlines on bodies. So maybe you
at
play
a school.
Yeah. Well. That could get dark.
So I love chalk location. You both bring up good points. Schools and crime scenes are both where we see a lot of chalk. Those are both locations. True. So here's what I think in terms of what my contribution would be. Early makes me think that what's happening is we are detectives in the Bronze Age. So we not only have chalk outlines, we chalk is like our weapon, or we have some sort of, I don't know, like big we have like a big rock we throw. And we don't have a badge, we have like a leaf, and people are like, ooh, a leaf. So everyone talks like we talked today, but it's almost like Assassin's Creed or something.
Yeah,
it just takes place in a different era, and so you're trying to solve like ancient crimes. Ancient crimes.
Okay. So we're talking, all right, Bronze Age. I'm trying to bring up my historical knowledge here. We're talking sort of Romans and...
Yeah, and honestly, let's go even earlier. So maybe this is like Jesus era, or even like cavemen.
Yeah. Well, maybe we've got an arcing story going across eras.
Yeah. So what happens is the game starts, and you're in this beautiful garden, and you're like, oh, is this like, where is this? Is this in England somewhere? Or where is this like cherry blossoms in Japan? And then you realize it's the Garden of Eden, and you see two guys fighting, and one of them kills the other, and it's Cain and Abel, and you have to solve that crime.
Okay. So you have to, you're obviously gathering the evidence in some way, presenting it to presumably God.
Yeah.
At that point, judge and jury.
Yep. And the shitty thing is, you only get two witnesses.
Yep.
And that's
and they were each other.
And most of the time they're on the stand, they're just like worried about covering up their genitals.
Yeah.
And then you hand them a leaf, and that's where modesty sort of starts.
Yep. And then you solve that, and then suddenly you're in a cave. And you have these cave paintings or cave drawings, and that they tell a little story. There's little hints and little pieces of evidence in there, and you have to solve some crime relating to cavemen.
Yeah, it's very difficult because the concept of names hasn't been invented yet, so it's sort of just all grunting sounds.
It's a lot of pointing where you just have to be like, you, and they're like, who? And you're like, this is... And that's part of it, is like the game tests your patience. So each crime is meant to be solved within like 50 minutes, but the cavemen segment, that goes on for like 90 hours.
It's just hours long, yeah.
And at some point, like, they get up to wander off and find food, and you're like, we are conducting a murder investigation, and they point to their stomach, and they're like, brr. So it's a lot of like herding. It's almost like herding cattle or sheep.
Yeah. Exactly. The main thing is just getting enough people, like the jury, together in the one spot for long enough. Yeah, and
it's probably who they're trying to there is a debate over who started fire. And maybe it's a thing of like, one guy had flint and he was banging that together, but then another dude accidentally got hit by lightning or something.
Yeah,
and so
and then someone was trying to make music by rubbing sticks, and then all of a sudden. And then there's a later civil case where it's like, well, that guy put my fire out, and I'm pissed. Yep.
And you mentioned somebody, was trying to make music with Styx, and that is the soundtrack for the game is from Styx, the band Styx.
Yeah. But they're for some reason covering Billy Joel's "We Didn't Start the Fire."
Yep. Yeah, and it's
a very
exactly.
Yep.
But it's all like old references.
Yes.
So it's like animal pelts, dirt on ground. What is that booming sound? We didn't start the fire. I mean, we did start the fire.
Wait. Grug over there started the fire.
So I'm gathering that we're actually playing like God's detective. He's actually created us specifically for this one reason, and it's to go throughout.
Yeah. Who is the most detective-like angel of his? Is it... I'm not good on my theology, but...
Okay, well, St. Peter guards the gates, right? So he's like an accountant. Like, he has a book with all the names, right? So he might be needing that information in terms of who he lets in or boots out of heaven.
Mm-hmm. You can go visit him to get evidence.
Yes.
And be like, hey, has this person died yet?
Yeah.
Because we, and if you can see when they died, what they did at their last moments.
And if you play too long, I really enjoy the phrase God's detective, because if you play too long and you don't solve a case, or you get the answer wrong, what happens is you're beamed up to heaven and God goes, leaf, chalk on my desk. And you have to like take off your leaf and slam it down with a piece of chalk, and you go, I quit anyway, I'm going to do it my way. And then you're partnered up with like a dog or something, because all dogs go to heaven. So then you have a dog, and he helps kind of sniff out clues, And then if you get it right, then you get your leaf and your chalk back, and you're a detective.
You're back on the force. You're reinstated. Yeah.
Now, when you say leaf and chalk, are they actually covering up some genitals, or are you Kendall and you just got it on your chest like a sheriff's badge?
I think you have it on your chest. So I think you're dressed probably in modern clothes, just so people fear
you. Need to blend in.
Well, no, here I disagree. I think people need to fear you. So if you have like sweatpants on, and if you have like a white dress shirt with a bow tie and then sweatpants on and Crocs, people are going to be like,
right, but you're in caveman times.
Yeah, people are going to be like, whatever you say, like, I don't want to fuck with this guy. Clearly something's wrong. Like, so I think you have to stand out so that people know you're from the future, or people know you have some sort of authority. Because if you blend in, if you go back to caveman days, you're going to get conked on the head. Yeah,
that's true. They need to fear you. I think we should establish that as the official time traveler's uniform as well, just so to let people know.
And someone, either Ben or Trev, you mentioned getting kicked off the force, which brings me to, this is a sort of tertiary idea, but I do think after you beat the game, there's a bonus game, and what that is that's sort of Star Wars police, and it's called the Force. And so you're a part of this squad of Jedi cops, and they're trying to solve crimes, and they have lightsabers and get kicked off the Force. They take away.
Yeah, well, we can shift in that direction for sure.
Perfect.
That's like that. I mean, it might be a sequel at that point, but yeah. Do Jedi cops have the Force, or it's just irony that they get called the Force?
They have the Force, but it can be taken away, so it's a privilege, not a right. And they're called Kedai or Chops. So they're not Jedi cops. They're either Kedai with a C or Chops.
I would definitely watch a show of Jedi cops. Just mundane, just going around like drunk and disorderly, aliens getting kicked out of the cantina.
I'm now just imagining how many different galaxies you could take this through, and so basically you can play the same character in all these different worlds, and the DLC is endless.
Yep, and it probably, I feel like, because it's early chalk location, probably the last case is like Jack the Ripper or something. We don't want to get too modern, so I think the cutoff's probably like 1900, because that would still be early. But we wouldn't dip into the 90s, I don't think.
Yeah, that's a different game. All right, I like it. All right, let's click again.
Is this how you guys do the podcast?
Pretty much.
Pretty much.
A guest says a terrible idea and you support it?
Well, usually it's just the two of us, so we just support each other's terrible ideas and
perfect.
Move forward.
I have the word scheme.
Arranged.
Highway.
Arranged, schemed highway.
This feels like one of those classic stories of like the little town where they're going to bulldoze it for the highway. Although they're putting in a new highway, and like cars or whatever, all the traffic is going to be moved away from this town, and the economy is going to be ruined. And so perhaps you're having to sabotage the highway scheme, guerrilla warfare style.
Yeah, it turns into a little bit of Mad Max.
Yeah.
Where you're driving in like these souped up weird dune buggy cars, and you have to intimidate the highway construction teams to stop or to move construction.
Yeah, I love the idea of a very specific location has gone Mad Max, and the rest of the world is just current day. So yeah, these highway construction teams are just out there, and all of a sudden, bursts of flame and a guy strapped on with a guitar comes out of a dust storm.
And correct me if I'm wrong, Mad Max is an Australian documentary, is that right?
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
Yeah, it's just from the future. It just got sent back through time.
We're getting closer day by day, I feel.
And it could also be, so it starts off as that, and then we also know another highway is the Highway to Hell. Thank you, AC/DC. Also Australian?
Also Australian.
Yep.
So maybe eventually, so you either win or succeed in diverting construction, but then eventually you pass away, and much like our last game, there is an afterlife, so you go to Hell, and you have to traverse the Highway to Hell. And, there's gas stations and all kinds of stuff that's just like bonkers, and you have to deal with that.
Yeah. Well, that could even be like a section. I'm picturing you've got sort of set pieces where you're coming in having to, I don't know, scare off all the highway people, but if you get killed, then you have to traverse the highway to hell to try to make your way back and continue the game. Otherwise, it's almost a second chance mechanic.
But to me, the highway to hell is just bumper to bumper the whole way. Like, so traversing it is literally getting out of your car and just like parkouring over the top of all the cars.
Sorry,
yeah, Assassin's Creed style.
Sorry, parkouring is what that's called. or parking.
It's just parking. Yeah.
So I would buy that game. I do want to. Just the word highway is really resonating with me, and because I just got my PSVR and I'm very into that experience, I do think there could be another game. There's an alternate title. If we take highway and divide that into two words, maybe we make a VR game where it's like you're at some holiday dinner with family or something, and you're bored and like you just hate everyone and there's tension, and then you have to get high, and that's the way you deal with it. So it is like so maybe the visuals change. The more you get high, the more the sort of visuals change, or the tastier the food is, or the more bearable your uncle becomes. So maybe that's an alternate way to take the word highway.
Yeah.
I like that.
There is a big problem with that, though. It'll be banned in Australia because it's got real drug use in it.
Oh, no.
Yeah,
that's
we
what
have
our
a
government,
weird thing. It depends. They don't like it if it's for positive effects. So
Is that true?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Chicago. I'm in Chicago, Illinois, and January 1st of this year, we just legalized recreational marijuana. And it's very nice. It's very good.
We're pretty behind on that one.
Yeah. There's a place in New South Wales called Tamworth where you can pretty much go and get a lot of weed, and it's not legal, but the cops don't do anything about it. But that's
what
about
I
it.
do. I love that you're just like, there's this city where you can go get drugs. Where's is that what
I lived in Vancouver, Canada for a while, which was that city for Canada. So
gotcha.
Yeah.
But that would be, I mean, just if I were to make that comparable to the US, that would be like if I was like, there's a city in Arizona where you can get drugs. I'm just laughing because in the U.S., I mean, every city block has 20 drug dealers. So,
I'm sure you could find them here too. It's just the average person might not.
And by 20 drug dealers, I mean white 20-year-olds named Zach who.
Yeah, but when I talk about Tamworth, it's literally
weed.
the entire place is pretty
just
much
under a haze of smoke at all times.
Yeah,
Ooh.
like it's almost the entire city population is high 100% of the time.
That's fantastic.
So I think with this VR game, this might be a case, Trevor, of one of our custom peripherals, where like it comes with a little bag of weed and you actually just have to get high, and it'll measure your sort of THC levels in your blood to make sure that you're complying, and will change the game to just give you
and then change the visuals as well as your maybe.
Well, then it doesn't need to
something yourself as well.
Just reacts in response to how high you are to give you, the right high, the right trip through this game.
Absolutely.
It's where you almost need those cameras inside the VR goggles so that they can see your eyes and how bloodshot they are, so that they can actually make mention of it in the game. It's like, oh, you're right, your eyes are really bloodshot.
And then that's where you become paranoid, and you have to stick with the game, because if you pull off the VR headset or you get scared, then you lose. And you're like, there's cameras watching my eyes.
Yeah. And this is the perfect situation for someone to not know if they've taken off the VR or not and get really paranoid about that. Am I still in the game?
It's like, oh, fuck, I'm sitting in an Applebee's. I was never playing VR. Oh, my God. What is this? What is this penne panini? This is delicious.
The game will get taken off the shelves the first time someone tries to pull their own skin off. Yeah, it works.
3, 2, 1, click.
All right, let's keep going.
Ooh. I have the word fresh.
Impaired.
Cockpit.
Fresh cockpit. Okay.
This is a pilot who was playing our previous game and didn't realize he was in the cockpit.
So fresh cockpit, impaired. So maybe, okay. So maybe we adjust impaired slightly to be in pairs. So fresh cockpit in pairs. Yep. So maybe what this is you play as Siamese twins who have to fly a plane. So there's been an emergency. The pilot passed out, and then the somebody on this commercial flight says, "Is there a pilot?" And one of you is, and the other is not. So the game is like you have to control the twin that is a pilot while the other one flounders and accidentally hits buttons, and you have to sort of put out their fires.
Okay, I could. That's kind of cool. Just they're hitting random buttons. This could be another VR game, I feel like, because you're able to then sort of push their arm away from, the self-destruct, because planes have those, right? Just the really dangerous ones.
People don't know this. Every plane has a self-destruct button.
Yeah, I mean, the movies have taught me anything.
And it's mostly if the plane gets caught. If the plane gets captured and they tie the plane to a chair and they're trying to get information out of it, it can bite down on that.
Yeah, bite down on that button. That cyanide button. Yep.
Yeah.
And I like the idea that this is also possible to play as a 2-player game. So you could play with someone and one person is actively trying to win and the other is actively trying to win.
Their goal is to crash the plane.
Yeah,
basically.
They're trying to win their way, which is to cause they're just an agent of chaos.
Maybe it's a situation where if you're both playing in VR, you could have it that you both think you're the pilot, but you show them different labels per person.
That's fun.
It's sort of this competitive almost thing where one person will do something that they think is right, and then the other person, like that screws them up.
Yeah. Did you ever play, what is that, Space Team?
Yeah.
It's like that, where it's like you have different information, you have to kind of shout it out or do your thing, and it's a race against time. I like that a lot.
Well, actually, that could work in that way too, where maybe just one person's in the VR and the other people are on their phones, and they're having to give the VR almost a bit of keep talking and nobody explodes. Yeah, but everyone has that information themselves on which buttons to press. So I could see that working well. The VR player just has a huge cockpit in front of them with no labels on anything, and they have to fly the plane based on everyone else telling them what to do.
I also like that there's some distractions. So it's either commercial plane or maybe it's like it's like a private jet and there's some, big to-do person on board. But there's stuff going on behind the scenes where you have to like serve the food and you have to make sure everyone's okay. And like there's different emergencies where like there's a kid screaming and you have to go calm the kid and stuff. So I like that there's some sort of mundanity mixed in with the urgency of trying to, fly and land the plane.
Yeah, absolutely. And I wonder if you have to tell the people on the phones to delegate some jobs occasionally or fly the plane for a bit. Here, you've got these 3 controls on your phone.
Yep.
You can
Because
keep us level.
I really like the mix of like adventure and something mundane, which is like I said, I'm currently playing Breath of the Wild, and you're in this enormous world that, takes forever to get around. And you are fighting goblins and creatures and doing quests and entering shrines. And then every once in a while you come across a little fire and you're like, I'm going to spend 20 minutes cooking. And it's so satisfying to just be like, I don't know, let's try this horn with this piece of meat.
It's the same reason every Far Cry game has a fishing mini game for some reason.
I never played.
Sometimes you just want to, sit there and fish. And
so this is like that, where it's even like you, like maybe your spouse calls and you have to like calm them down, and they're just like, when are you coming home? And you're like, I don't know, Diane, please, this is not the time. And they're like, well, when will you know? And it's like, I don't know. How was your day?
The dialogue tree, and then sort of their little meter going up and down of how pissed they are. Keep it below the meter.
And that's almost like Papers, Please, right?
Yeah. Like you sort of got to match up the different things. You got different people coming through. Tell the people on the phone to call your wife. To call them, to get them off the phone. It's like, I've got, Diane, is that, I think you got another call.
Okay, and based on what we just said, and then based on, you mentioned Keep Talking, Nobody Explodes, I think there should be a game where, and again, I'm totally derailing your podcast, so my apologies. But you knew I was an idiot bringing me on, so this is your fault. There should be a game that's, one person has a high school yearbook, and there's, 800 kids in it with their names. And then the other person is like at the high school reunion with like an earpiece. And somebody comes up,
man in the chair.
And then somebody comes up and they're like, "Dude, Josh, I haven't seen you in forever." And you have to be like, I don't know who this is. And then the other person is like, give me as many details as you can. And you're like, he's balding. He's dressed in athletic wear. And the other person has to flip through the yearbook. It's almost like Guess Who. And they have to suss out who it is. And
I like that. Well, and you said you were playing Return of the Obra Dinn. It's a little bit like having to sort of identify everybody as well.
Yeah, and meanwhile, you keep saying like, "Hey, big guy, like, it's good to see you, champ." You're using as many names to placate him as possible.
And that's a resource. You've got a limited number.
Yes. And if you ever say the same one twice, you lose. But I like that idea of trying to suss out who, because I have that all the time where I'll run into someone and I'll be like, Adal, hey. And I'm like, hey, you. And they're like, hey, buddy. What have you been up to? And I'm like, where do I know you from? Joking. I remember you. Your name is.
Yeah, I like that. Well, you can even, you can have situations where you've got your phone, you can snap a little picture and they get it on their side, and real communication going back and forth.
And you might say like,
style.
Yes, and you might say like, what's your favorite memory of us? And they might share something a little vague, and you have to kind of glean what the meaning is.
Well, then they're going back through the yearbook pictures. It's like, oh, right, who was on the chess club with me in this year? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Check out the pictures.
And
I like it.
I'm wondering if at the same time there's like some people in there that have literally snuck into the reunion.
Yeah.
So they're not in the yearbook. And so you got to be able to pick out who are the who are the gate crashers.
Well, there's a real challenge with spouses too. You're going to get into real trouble.
Yeah, and there might be people who are trying to mislead you, and then they're like, "Busted! You don't remember me, do you?" And that's always fun when people do that. And the game is called Better Extrapolate Than Never. Trademark. We're making this game.
Love it. All right.
I wouldn't be surprised if that's the title of the episode.
All right. My next word is groom.
My next word is detached.
And I have the word six. Six detached groom.
Well, this is like a dating sim. This is like one of those dating sims where you're trying to choose who your groom is in some way.
Mm-hmm.
For some reason, I've just got into my head like a Franken groom. So it's basically a groom that's been put together from all these different different parts.
Okay, so it is still a dating game like that, but the point is you're trying to make the perfect groom out of the other six.
I love this. So yeah, you operate some sort of service where people come to you and are like, I've struck out on online dating. I can't find anyone. And then you say, well, what are you looking for? And they're like, well, they have to be,
well manicured.
Yep.
Okay, grab these arms.
Yeah. Under 6'2". And you're like, all right, here's the abdomen.
Yeah. Blue eyes, dark hair.
Yep.
Okay.
Wings.
So you take the top part of the torso from the angel.
Well, you just kill a pigeon,
and that is part of it. Part of it is you are testing. This is new technology, and you are kind of testing the limits. So people may ask for, well, I want them to have a giraffe neck, or I want them to have spider eyes. And it's up to you to like morally to sort of tread that moral high beam of what do I give them and what do I not do? Because at some point they may not even be. It may not even be a human or like a soulful person, I guess. So it's almost like Island of Dr. Moreau. And that's what it's called. It's called Island of Dr. Moral. So you have to morally. You have to morally choose
decide where your limits are.
Yeah, where someone's like, I want them to have a shark dick, and you're like, I don't know. Like, this seems dubious. Like, I don't know if that's...
Do sharks even have dicks?
Yeah.
Like, is that you have to...
Yes.
Do I have to fashion one out of shark?
Yeah, and then you're like, well, what will their kids be... will that be like a life worth living? So you just have to, like, really take into consideration... And then you get, as the years go by, you either rack up points or lose points based on your choices.
And based on how many people have said that you're committing crimes against humanity.
Yeah.
Where are you sourcing these body parts from, though?
Well, I think that's the main gameplay loop.
Yeah.
Right? You get your recipe, or as such, you get your description. And then maybe it's sort of an open world kind of situation, right? You're going around and you're having to go down the streets and find these people, or to the zoo, perhaps.
You have an inn with both the zoo mortician and
the local morgue.
And then you also have a 3D printer. So in a pinch, you can make it happen.
Now, is this a futuristic 3D printer that can have like human or some other sort of DNA encoding sort of stuff that can print out?
Yes,
actual
of course.
DNA coded. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, it just costs a lot more that way.
Yeah, but there are drawbacks. So anytime you have to, so you're able to source from either the zoo or the local morgue, but if you use the 3D printer, there's a 1 in 5 chance that the part you create is going to be haunted. So that's also
but it
part
goes
of
to
it.
the machine.
Mm-hmm. So that's also like when you're desperate and you're like, well, I guess I have to print out a bee stinger for this person. Then there's a 1 in 5 chance that it's haunted, and that would have devastating effects for whoever marries them.
Sometimes, though, they might ask for someone with a haunted right hand. And so then you have to play those odds.
Yep.
And print a bunch of them to make sure you get it.
Yeah. I'm almost getting a Papers, Please-esque sort of feel about this, in the fact that you're sort of matching up against the descriptions. But I'm imagining that you can also get like that one guy in the game that comes along and tries to get in with like a fake description, and it's like, hang on, no, you're really trying to make a serial killer, or you're trying to make,
well, that's where the morals come in.
Manball pig.
That's where the morals come in. You may not want to create some of these things for these people, I suppose.
Yeah, and you might have to sort of, based on where their eyes are going when they're talking to you, if they're flitting around, or if they're like sweating or something, you might be like, you know what, something suspicious. I'm not going to make that for you. And of course, the game is called Groom for Improvement. So, you're just juggling a lot. There's a lot to juggle, but when you get it right, you are giving someone their life partner.
Yeah, that's it. You get a little sort of aftermath situation, or the little denouement of how their life went from that point onwards.
Yeah, you get the wedding photo that you get to put in your album. You get any
like
potential like newspaper articles from
the murders,
like the murders that occurred.
Yeah.
Yep.
And once you successfully partner 6 people, and their marriages last for at least 20 years, then you win the game.
That's the win state.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Love it.
But it's harder than what you think.
It's so hard. Because you might be at 19 years, and then all of a sudden that haunted right hand comes into play.
Comes back and just destroys that marriage. Yeah.
Which is my favorite.
I mean, we've all been there.
Yeah, which is my favorite Nick Cave song. Here comes the man with the haunted right hand. With a haunted right hand. Another Australian?
Yep.
Yes. Yeah.
I'm not even meaning to. I just so many Australian references today.
We've just you just don't realize how much of an influence our culture has over there.
Exactly.
All right, let's do it. 3, 2, 1, click.
And of course, when you say 3, 2, 1, click, we're all supposed to watch Adam Sandler's Click, the movie. I'm starting it right now.
And finished. Yeah, that was not as good as I remembered.
I have the word...
I don't know. I cried.
I have the word wearing.
Lipstick.
Breathing.
Wow. This is a little short sentence.
This is topical, actually, because this is around like wearing masks during the pandemic. And are we starting a new trend where the lipstick goes on the outside
of the mask?
And do you play a like beauty? You're in a beauty salon, perhaps.
Yeah. So you work at a beauty salon. Let's see. Breathing, wearing lipstick. Okay. This is a tough one. This is a tough nut to crack. Breathing.
It's a tricky one. I'm picturing. You've got people coming in with all their personal protective gear, and they're saying, "Make me pretty."
Yeah.
But you can't take it off because you don't want to. You don't want to catch the Rona, as we call it.
Yeah.
And so it's really it's sort of an open artistic game where you use your different tools. You've got your lipstick that you're painting on the outside.
Yes.
And then it's sort of one of those like, and then you share your best ones on Twitter
Yeah, I like that a lot. So yeah, it starts off and it's like someone with like a basic sort of Scrubs mask almost, and you draw a little mouth and bottom of the nose, and that's and appease them and make them feel good about themselves. And then it works all the way up to like hazmat suits. And you have to beautify that, and then it's like a total makeover, and it almost turns into like a Pretty Woman situation where like they're in the dressing room and they come out and model stuff for you, and you shake your head yes or no.
Yeah, I'm imagining the Twitch integration now that all the Twitch viewers get to vote on whether they give it a thumbs up or thumbs down.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
This could be a Jackbox game almost.
Yeah, you just
you're painting on the top of the people, beautifying them.
Yeah,
and then you come up on the screen, you get the votes.
And everyone has different factors in terms of what they find aesthetically pleasing, so it's all over the board. I like this a lot.
Exactly, completely subjective.
I will say for a Hey Riddle Patreon live stream, I dressed up in drag with my fiance, and I will say putting on like eyeliner is way more painful than I thought it would be. Just in terms of,
I mean, you're basically digging a pencil into your eye, right?
Yeah. Where I was like, oh, this is going to be easy, like pop on some makeup and some blush and stuff. And then when she was doing my eyes, I was like, this is the worst experience of my life. But I've also had a pretty good life so far, so I could be a piece of shit. Complaining about eye makeup.
You check your privilege around that, and it's fine. And,
That's anytime someone comes to me and they're like, "Oh, like this is what's going on in my life," I'm like, "I had to wear eyeliner once," and they're like, "I wear it every day," and I'm like, "Well, must be nice." I've never experienced pain before. I guess that's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, that was the first time. All right, I think we can move on from that one. Let's go again.
Microwave.
Okay. Splatter.
Ooh. And I have Rise. R-I-S-E. Okay, so Rise, microwave, splatter. Here I think we get into like a similar vein as we were before, where maybe you have to go to people's microwaves and sort of summon forth some sort of creature or demon, like arise,
yes.
Splatter.
But you're doing it through. Well, I feel like you're having. So it's picking the right ingredients then to create your demonic being, and usually it involves yeast, I suppose, so that it will. That's always the final ingredient.
I'm just picturing that the very early part of the game, you're putting together like this penne panini to rise to get the pasta witch to arise, and then like it's sort of like a callback to the other game.
Yeah.
But that's how she actually came into the world. It was through the penne panini.
I love
this. Is her origin story.
This is her origin story, and it's and it's called Altered Yeast. And we love that, and that goes well.
So yeah, you've basically. So is this? I guess you've got your recipe book. Is it more a case of you've got your different ingredients that sort of have different aspects that you can then apply different attributes? Actually, maybe this is, and Adal, you said you've been playing Slay the Spire. Maybe this is like a card, collectible, like a deck building card game, and your cards are your ingredients.
Ooh, I like that.
And so you're constructing these creatures to then fight your opponents.
I love that. And there could even be like a mini game or like a side quest where you are given the outline of a splatter and you have to try and play the cards with the ingredients on it that would create that splatter in a microwave. Like if you put it in a microwave for 3 minutes, that's the exact splatter pattern that would. It's almost like forensics when they're looking at blood splatter, like Dexter. And you had to figure out the exact ratio or the exact ingredients that would create that splatter if it overheated.
You get like a color and an outline, and it's like, okay, well, I definitely need this much yeast for this amount of time. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, it's definitely yeast splatter analysis.
Yes.
So.
You're a splatter day saint. That's your occupation, and that's fun. Yeah.
I like it. I almost feel like a Pokemon vibe coming in here as well, but instead of finding the creatures to collect, it's finding the recipes and the ingredients and sort of that's how you get them into your little stable of fighters. then we can create a whole little story around it. Pokemon has a story, right? I've never played them.
And the game developers, which is us, we also steal that to where it is got to cook them all.
Yes. Yeah.
And there's a little bit of litigation, but we eventually settle out of court.
And the different sort of versions of the game that come out each time are different styles of cooking. So you've got like ladder. What did we say? Splatter Day Saint, French style, and then Splatter Day Saint. American comfort food.
Yep,
I like it. I'd play the shit out of that. That'd be awesome.
What is I'm going to every once in a while I'm going to use this opportunity to broaden my knowledge of Australia. What is an Australian comfort food?
There are a few. I mean, meat pies is sort of the classic.
Okay.
Sausage roll.
Yeah.
What's a sausage roll? I mean, I could
Yeah.
I could put two together in terms of putting sausage inside a roll, but is there more to it than that?
Oh yeah, it's a sausage roll is like a it's weird to explain.
It's sausage
like
meat. It's not an actual like encased sausage. It's sausage meat.
Okay, because
like,
I'm picturing
thin.
like a hot dog, but with a top on it. Like American hot dogs would be like a convertible. This would be a sedan where it's covering the top.
Yeah,
it is, but it's pastry instead of like a bun.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah, it's pastry. It's almost like a mini meatloaf sort of texture, just without any sauce, and then you put tomato sauce on top of it. It's really quite nice.
One comfort food that is technically Australian in that I think it was invented here or popularized here is the halal snack pack, which you get from like Lebanese, like kebab places.
Yeah.
But it's like, well, we call them chips, fries.
Yeah.
With cheese and then like kebab meat,
shawarma
meat.
Oh man,
and then
sauces
on top.
That sounds fucking delicious. I mean,
it is.
Yeah, it's basically the closest thing you can get to poutine here. Which I lived in Canada for 6 years and really missed.
Poutine's so tasty. My dad is Middle Eastern. He's Palestinian. So growing up, he would cook Middle Eastern food all the time. So anytime. Like every few weeks, I get this insane craving for Middle Eastern food, and what you just described sounds unbelievable.
So good.
Yeah, and the fries aren't those like thin things; they're the thick.
Yeah, like
thick fries.
Is there a popular trend in terms of like, is there a style of food that's rampant in Australia? Like, is there?
We kind of steal from every other culture. And
okay,
that's
because I went to. I was just in like a year ago. I was in Copenhagen, and there was like a taco boom. Where enough chefs had gone over there to bring Mexican food to where it was like it was like a boom or they're having a moment. So I was just curious if Australia has something like that.
We definitely have there is a lot of Middle East, like a lot of Lebanese. There's a big Lebanese community, so there's a lot of kebabs and shawarma and stuff, sort of thing. There's a lot of Vietnamese immigrants, so that in certain areas you get a lot of that.
Some banh mi and pho.
Yep.
Yeah.
Especially in the city. Yep.
Yeah, in the cities especially. And then, I mean, we've got pizza and Italian stuff everywhere, but it's very, I don't know, it's very localized, I guess you'd say, for the most part. Although there is a big Italian community here too.
Yes.
Well, Ben, Trev, thank you so much for coming on Tasty Talk. I'm Adal Rifai. Do you guys have anything you want to plug? Or?
All right. We will move on. I think we've got time for one more and then we'll finish it up.
Perfect.
All right. 3, 2, 1, and click. Oh, a woodwind.
Okay. I have experience.
And I have honor.
Oh, okay.
Woodwind, honor, experience.
Okay. Honor makes me think of like, is this some like Knights of the Woodwind or something? You know?
Ooh, I like that.
Ooh.
Yeah. You've got some traveling, or like the Knights for the King who use their recorders and clarinets to.
I legitimately love this. So it's like an ancient sect. They're almost like the Knights of Templar, but their weapon is music. So it's almost like a Pied Piper situation. And so it's like an ancient order through history. A sect. I just watched The Old Guard last night on Netflix, so this is fresh in my mind. So you have to learn, almost like Zelda in Ocarina of Time. You have to learn all the songs to the ocarina.
Yes, yeah.
You have to.
They all have different effects.
Yeah, you have to learn all these ancient melodies in order to move stuff, or in order to
unlock new areas,
or have someone fall asleep, or have someone even follow you, like the Pied Piper.
Yeah.
And
so this is very much a Metroidvania in the fact that the whole world is almost open from the start, but you just can't access certain areas because you don't have the
either the right instrument or the right song.
Yeah,
the right melody. Yeah, that's cool.
And of course, you start and you already know hot cross buns, and that feeds you. So anytime your health is low, you're just like bah, 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 and boom, you have some health back. But
just drop some buns from this guy.
Yeah. The reason they give that to you is because after a while you're like, I'm almost dead, but I don't want to hear that fucking song. Like, I don't. You're just.
It starts to damage you. As well after
yeah.
time.
You start to take. It's almost like what was that?
Psychic damage.
What was that? Was it GameCube? There's a game that fucked with you where like it would look like there's a fly on the screen. And
Eternal Darkness.
Eternal Darkness, yeah. So there's an element of that where you have like your sort of insanity meter, or your, I like that a lot.
Yeah. That's cool.
Oh, okay. So I'm just wondering some of the other songs. I think you've got like Green Sleeves.
Oh, yes. And that would literally change your outfit.
Oh, yeah, okay. You can use it as a disguise. You've got sort of the livery of the opponent or whatever.
Yeah,
so you get like a ghillie suit.
Yeah, so you learn to start, hot cross buns. You can learn green sleeves. You can learn brown pants. You can learn
brown pants is just it's got a brown note at the end.
Yeah. You learn black boots. You learn undershirt. Little hat. Those are all good.
You just have to play an entire symphony just to get dressed in the morning.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And what are the Knights of Woodwind fighting against? Is it like they are people like dancing less and less at weddings, or we have to create some sort of conflict or issue?
I think they're going up against the Stringed Menace.
Yeah,
for control of the orchestral plane.
Yeah, so you're playing a Knight of the Woodwinds. His name is Reed, and you have to take apart the strings because they have risen to the top. I love that.
Yeah, led by the evil viola.
Love that.
That's cool. And so they've got. I feel like they're in power because, they've got the cooler instruments, right? They've got guitars and violins, fiddle playing and stuff. Whereas, is the saxophone count as I don't think that even counts as woodwind, does it?
Well, it has a...
Oh, there are some...
It's got a reed in it, so...
Yeah.
That's true. Okay. So, we've got Kenny G on our side, but...
Yes! we there's no doubt in my mind we'll win.
Oh, we've got Ian Anderson as well with with the flute. I'm pretty sure that's...
There you go. And
also woodwind.
So the final battle is Kenny G versus Santana.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And in just a big epic...
So I want to go down deeper into how do you actually play these songs? Is it kind of like Zelda where you have to actually remember the melody? So you have to actually enter in the different values? Or is it
like Guitar Hero style where you have to hit the notes as they come down the screen once you know it?
I think it'd be pretty fun to drop like $160 on a controller that's a recorder. I think that would be fun.
Needs air to go through. Yeah, definitely.
And it just sounds terrible. And I think that's great because that's also you're the underdog because it's like how is someone like there's a level called cello from the other side, and you have to face off against this cellist, and it's like, how is someone with a recorder playing Hot Cross Buns going to beat this cellist? So there's a lot of rooting for the underdog. You have to kind of pull yourself up from the recorder to maybe gain other instruments, like you get an oboe and whatnot.
Oh, I'm just imagining like you've got like the controller embedded. The typical PlayStation controller embedded into this woodwind instrument, so you can still move around, and then every now and again,
on the top.
You bring it up like a flute, and you're just still using it here.
And of course,
off to the side.
Of course, the game is a critical hit, and that controller is the worst-selling controller of all time in gaming history.
We get a lot of warranty returns when people get too much spit in it.
Yeah, we didn't think that one through.
There's no valve. There's no valve at all.
No. It just goes straight onto the circuit board.
But the game is made by Valve, and so people are happy about that.
I mean, people are happy when Valve eventually releases anything. Yeah.
Yeah, but the problem with Valve doing it is it means that we may get a sequel, but that's it. Like, you don't go any further than that. So that the whole, Knights of the Woodwind is lost to time.
Dead in the water.
Yeah. I mean, I'm just picturing this beautiful 3D environment.
Yeah.
That you're sort of heading into an area and you start hearing the strings just sort of waft through the cave.
Hauntingly.
Yeah, and there are the different worlds. So obviously the strings are like what we're up against as the main enemy. But starting off, there are like percussion. There's a percussion land, and you have to beat them in the brass area.
Yeah.
Oh, and your initial call is you have to go and see the conductor.
Yes.
And he gives you your quest.
Yes. And the name of the game
lives up in a cave.
Yes, and the name of the game is Warchestra. That's orchestra with the word war in front of it, and that's good. And the conductor you're literally following his orders.
Yeah.
So is the secret final boss, if you do all the things kind of like a Bloodborne or Dark Souls, in the fact that the conductor itself is actually the secret boss of the game. He's actually
he orchestrated the whole thing. So
yes. And his MO is like, you get all the credit, and I'm up here with my back to the crowd, like fuck you, So there's some issues there. Yeah, I like this. I think of all our games, this one has the most legs.
Oh,
I love
definitely.
It.
Well, I guess Groom for Improvement would have the most legs.
In number of legs, yes.
All right. Well, I think we'll finish it up there. Adal, thank you so much for coming on.
Thanks for having me and for indulging my terrible ideas.
Oh god, no, it was good. It was good. I think we came up with some games there that, someone's going to steal those ideas, I hope, and go ahead and make them because I want to play them.
Yes, please.
Yeah, the whole thing is with this podcast that we decided to create this podcast because we don't have the time to create these things. Even though we've got some of the skill to actually create games, we don't have the time. We've got kids and young families, and so we want to see these games exist.
See, that's interesting because I have the time but not the skill.
If only those were things we could trade.
I know nothing about video game design, but I have so much time on my hands. So maybe off the podcast we'll figure it out.
Yeah. All right. Adal, where can our listeners find you online and on the social media things?
Yeah, so you can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Adal Rifai. That's spelled ADALRIFAI. And then, as I mentioned, check out Hello from the Magic Tavern and Hey Riddle Riddle, 2 podcasts I do, and hopefully you enjoy those.
Yep. And if you want to find us online, you can go to podchaser.com/bitstorm. All of our episodes are up there. We are also part of the 8-Bit Collective, a network of like-minded podcasts around pop culture and gaming.
We are also part of the Australasian Gaming Podcast Network. It's a network of Australasian gaming podcasts. So go check them out at AGP Network on Twitter or the Australasian Gaming Podcast Network on Facebook. And finally, we'd like to thank Kuridas for the song Mount Defiance off of the album Containment Failure.
And we would love to thank the band Styx for their cover of We Did Start the Fire, which will play post-credits.
Yes, we'll put that in there. So,
thank you for that.
Thank you again for joining us this week on Bitstorm. I'm Ben Slinger.
I'm Trevor Scott.
I'm Adal Rifai, and I will say, if you have the time and interest, I would love to see some fan art of these game titles as if it's a game you could purchase online.
Yeah, show us some screenshots.